Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but my God, we're doing another Snow White video. We're going to talk more about Pedro Pascal throwing his support behind Rachel Zegler after the Snow White debacle, and people are calling him out because they're like, hey, why didn't you defend Gina Carano publicly? Now, he did text her, if I remember correctly, and we're going to talk about that. He did text her, but he did not publicly support Gina Carano because he didn't want to hurt his own career, in my opinion. So we'll talk about all this, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Gina Carano situation. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Hey, so this is coming from the Mail Online. This is coming from the Daily Mail. Pedro Pascal slammed for calling Rachel Zegler an icon amid her woke Snow White disaster. That's what they're calling it now, a woke disaster. Are we allowed to say that now? Everybody's saying it now. So according to the Daily Mail, Pedro Pascal came under fire on Sunday after publicly voicing his support of Rachel Zegler amid severe backlash, which led to the humiliating flop of Disney's Snow White. The Chilean silver fox, turning 50 this Wednesday, Insta-storied a picture of the half-Colombian 23-year-old captioned, Rachel Zegler, #icon. Side note, he's almost 50 and he's getting his first MCU role. Maybe I could be a Hollywood star too. I'm younger than he is. Mark Webb's PC live-action remake of the classic animated Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs earned $143 million at the global box office since opening March 21st, after reportedly costing at least 300. Yeah, they wish. At least $350 million to make and market. And we're going to do a video on this. I think maybe tomorrow, Geeky and I will do a video, or maybe the day after. Hollywood is pivoting now. They're pivoting because they're spending too much damn money on these movies that nobody's watching. Nobody is watching these movies. Hundreds of millions of dollars are burning it. And this was at the big CinemaCon, I guess. They're like, yeah, we have to make cheaper movies. We might not make as much at the box office, but we're going to have more profit, right? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that later. Snow White currently has a dismal 41% critical approval rating out of 233 reviews, but managed a decent 74% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And then it got hit on IMDb 1.6 out of 10. Over on X, users like Diamond Needle 18 pointed out that Pedro and Rachel's paychecks have the same logo on them. Disney, yeah. They both work for Disney. They both receive money from Disney. That is true. Gina Carano no longer works for Disney because reasons. It was a different time. I mean, it's so weird. Like 2020, 2021 seems like it was decades ago. It was peak woke. You weren't even allowed to say things were woke when they were, or you were a Nazi, bigot, homophobe. And now the goalpost has shifted. Now, apparently, if you drive a Tesla, that's the problem. They feel like shitty Disney movies because everybody's realized that these movies are shitty, most of them now. That's okay. You're allowed to have that opinion. The mainstream media is actually echoing that opinion now. All right, here's another ex-user, Armored Roar 6. LOL icon. No, how about fired? How about blacklisted? How about failure, moron, imbecile? Ooh, ouch. Call her what she is, not what your deluded Hollywood echo chamber wishes she was. Pedro's mouth is going to tank the Fantastic Four, says Lan Shardy. Lan Shardy. Yeah, they're going to have to watch. Here's the thing. After the Rachel Zegler woke disaster, whatever they're calling it, I think Disney is going to gag people more than they were before. I mean, remember, the producer flew to New York to talk to her, to tell her to shut up. And then she continued to get political online. So I think things are going to change. I think going forward, if you want to be part of a Disney anything, you're going to have to keep your mouth shut. Nobody wants to hear it. Ex-user R2CB agreed. Why do these actors keep sabotaging their next projects? Several people dragged Pascal for not supporting his Mando co-star Gina Carano, who was fired off their Disney Plus show in 2021 for comparing Republicans to Jews in the Holocaust, denying the result of the 2020 presidential election, and being an anti-masker. So she posted, it's because there were people, I believe there were people gunning for her already at Lucasfilm, because it doesn't make sense. Just what she posted, it didn't make a lot of sense, right? To cancel her for that. Rachel Zegler, I mean, they couldn't really cancel her. I mean, clearly they sent somebody to go talk to her, the producer, right? And then they attacked the producer's son. Her stans attacked the producer's sons, but like, they can't fire her. The movie's done. The movie's out. In Gina Carano's case, they're just like, yeah, we're not calling her back. But then they had to make a big public to-do about it on social media on the Star Wars account, which is probably some activist. So yeah, Disney's got to clean house. Remember when he threw Gina Carano under the bus? MAGA Hulk tweeted, Joker 78 RPM agreed. Where was his support for Gina Carano? They're not bringing 78 RPM records back out, are they? That's a whole thing. Like 78s were great. My grandfather had a bunch of 78 records, and he used to actually play in a country western band back in the 60s and 70s. And he had a bunch of old records. Like, I know more about old country than any man my age under 50 should know. Like, I know all about little Jimmy Dickens. You Google little Jimmy Dickens. He was pretty okay. Did Pedro Pascal ever publicly support Gina Carano after Disney fired her? Not publicly, because that would have been actually impressive. So let's scoot over to Fandom Wire, which has a very similar article, but they're talking about how this is a nothing burger, because in 2024, she said, me and Pedro were so close. He knows 1,000% I'm not homophobic or transphobic. He texted me after Carl Weathers, RIP, passed away. We had our conversation and it was beautiful. One thing he did say was, thank you. You and Carl Weathers have always been protectors, and he knows what that means. And I know what that means. And I wish I could tell why. We basically left it at, I can't wait to give you a big hug, privately. Now, I don't know if since then, if he has said anything publicly. I don't think he has. So they're saying here, in an unsurprising turn of events, Pascal was met with backlash over his support for Zegler, and one user even proceeded to call him a coward, adding, where was this energy with Gina Carano? Coward. Although it makes sense why he didn't address the controversy directly, given the legality of it all behind the curtains, he remained in touch with her. So I got to meet Gina Carano. I talked to her, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 minutes. We talked after she was done at an Ohio Con. I think it was GalaxyCon. It was GalaxyCon. And I actually went and spoke to her, and it was pretty cool. So, and this wasn't like a signing or anything. We talked for a couple of minutes, and we had a friend connect us. I don't know if he wants me to say who he was or not, but so my understanding is that I think she's okay with a lot of her co-stars. It's the Disney company that there are issues with, and I have to wonder if maybe this would have gone down differently current year, because it does seem like Disney is walking a lot of this stuff back. Snow White is a turd that needed flushed. They had to get it out of the system. It was in development for years. Zegler. Now, here's the thing. I said before, and Geeky took a little bit of a different take on it. That's fine. She's allowed to. We're married, but we do disagree about things when it comes to this. I said, to Disney's credit, at least they sent somebody to go talk to Zegler, because that is what they did with Carano. Right. If that's company policy or whatever. But in Carano's case, they wanted her to go get basically get dogpiled by a Zoom chat full of activists. In this case, it was the producer of the movie who actually flew to New York. But then she continued to make political posts, and they still kept her on because they didn't have a choice. I don't think they had a choice. Now, do I think she'll be back in anything Disney? There was a rumor they were looking at her for the MCU. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they're going to work with her anytime soon, because her mouth definitely did damage to this movie. I mean, the movie itself, not great. People didn't want it, but her mouth right out of the gate saying that it was dated, right out of the gate, talking about how weird the prince was, and just making, comments that are not very Disney princess like. And you can hate on the Little Mermaid remake. I think there are some very fair criticisms of the Little Mermaid remake, but the girl that played Ariel actually conducted herself. She was a complete 180 from Zegler. And, you see her in interviews and everything. And yeah, she was getting dog polish, but she conducted herself very well. She, answered questions. There was that one, like, I think it was in Argentina or something, some talk show that Halle Bailey did, and they asked her some weird question, and she was like clearly uncomfortable. I was like, what are you doing? But she wanted the part. She wanted the role. Zegler, it never came across like she wanted this role. It was a stepstone for her. She was talking about, having to wear the princess dress, and, she better be getting paid for that. And it's like, yeah, there are cast members sweating in the Florida and the Anaheim heat wearing these costumes, for like $12, $15 an hour or whatever they're paying them. And you're going to complain about getting millions of dollars having to wear a princess dress. I mean, come on. It's very stupid. But so they're going after Pascal. I can only hope, given some of the dumb shit he said, and I can only hope that Disney does kind of rein him in for Fantastic Four. I want to like Fantastic Four. I've said before, the only superhero movie, even over Superman, the only superhero movie in the immediate future that I'm even somewhat excited about is Fantastic Four, because I love the Fantastic Four. I love 60s, 70s Fantastic Four. I love that. I love that they're going with the retro futuristic aesthetic. And I love pretty much everything about it that I've seen so far, except for Pedro Pascal. Because I'm like, you do not look like Reed Richards at all. You do not. I can't picture you acting like Reed Richards, but who knows? And they're kind of hiding Reed too. Did you notice that? Like, you're not seeing very much of him in the trailers. And I'm not real keen on the Silver Surfer being gender swapped, but it's not Norrin Rad, and it is a multiverse. So, whatever. We're going to get proper Galactus, so there's that. But I don't know, guys. Yeah, they're got to gag him for sure. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.